Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's keeping C-suite executives up at night across the Nordic region: EU AI Act readiness and governance maturity. Sam, this feels like one of those topics that everyone's heard about, but most organizations are still scrambling to actually prepare for.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. It's not just regulatory theater anymore. The EU AI Act is operational reality in 2025, and the enforcement phases are accelerating. We're looking at mandatory compliance documentation for high-risk AI systems by 2026. That's not hypothetical. That's a hard deadline.
So let's put some numbers on this. You mentioned enforcement phases accelerating. What does that actually look like for a typical enterprise in Helsinki or Stockholm right now?
Well, think about it this way. 67% of European enterprises are facing board-level pressure to accelerate AI adoption, but only 28% have established formal AI governance structures. That's a massive gap between ambition and readiness, and it's exactly where the risk lives.
That gap is wild. So you're saying most companies are being pushed to deploy AI faster, but they lack the governance framework to do it safely. What happens when that collides with the regulatory requirements?
Operational blindness, for one. If you're deploying AI agents for business-critical decisions without governance frameworks, you have no visibility into how those systems are performing or where the risks are hiding. Add the regulatory exposure on top of that: audit trails, transparency logs, human oversight protocols, and suddenly you're looking at significant compliance risk.
You mentioned audit trails and transparency logs. Are those just compliance checkboxes, or do they actually create business value?
They're not checkboxes at all. Here's what Gartner found. Enterprises with formalized AI governance frameworks achieve 3.2x faster ROI on AI investments and reduce regulatory risk by 64%. So these frameworks aren't just about avoiding fines, they actually accelerate time to value.
Wow. So governance actually enables faster, smarter deployment rather than slowing it down. That's counterintuitive for a lot of organizations, I'd imagine.
Completely counterintuitive, and that's the adoption acceleration paradox we're seeing. Generative AI adoption has hit 53% of the global population in just 3 years. European adoption matches or exceeds that. But most enterprises treat AI as a departmental tool rather than an operating model transformation.
So it's the siloed AI problem. Different teams building different AI applications without a unified governance layer underneath. How does an organization even assess where it currently stands?
That's where maturity frameworks come in. We use a 5-level model that starts with honest assessment. Level 1 is completely ad hoc, no formal governance, minimal oversight. Level 2 is reactive. You fix problems after they happen. Most European enterprises are stuck somewhere between level 1 and 2.
And what do the higher levels look like? What's the goal state?
Level 3 is managed. You have documented policies, but governance is departmental rather than enterprise-wide. Level 4 is proactive. You've got integrated governance. Risk assessment happens before deployment. And you have cross-functional oversight. Level 5 is optimized, where you're continuously evolving governance, monitoring in real time, automating compliance, and aligning AI risk with business strategy.
So there's a clear progression, but jumping from level 1 to level 4 or 5 sounds like a massive undertaking. What's the first step?
Assessment. You need to map your current state against these levels and understand your specific gaps. We call this an AI lead architecture assessment. It reveals governance capability gaps, whether that's people, processes, or tools. It also surfaces compliance risk exposure and tells you what organizational changes are actually required.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. A lot of organizations are thinking, we'll move fast and iterate. Deploy first, worry about governance later. Why can't you do that in AI?
Because you're deploying something that makes decisions at scale, often affecting customers or business outcomes. It's like launching a ship without navigation systems. The initial voyage might seem successful. The wreck happens when risk surfaces at scale. With AI, that risk could be regulatory exposure, biased decisions affecting customers, or operational failures that cascade.
So there's no move fast and break things in the AI era, especially not in a regulated environment like the EU.
Not when those things include customer trust, regulatory compliance, and potentially significant financial exposure. The enterprises that are winning right now are the ones that realized governance maturity isn't a constraint on AI adoption. It's an accelerator.
Let's talk practically. If you're a mid-market enterprise in Helsinki right now and your board is saying, we need AI and we need it now, where do you actually start?
First, you conduct that maturity assessment. Get clarity on where you actually stand. Then, sequence your governance work based on your highest-risk AI applications. Don't try to boil the ocean. Focus on the use cases that have regulatory exposure or high business impact first.
And how long does that typically take? Are we talking months, quarters?
A solid assessment takes 4 to 8 weeks. The implementation roadmap depends on your current state and ambition, but moving from level 2 to level 4 typically takes 6 to 12 months, depending on organizational complexity and the scope of your AI applications.
So it's not something you do once and forget about. It sounds like ongoing evolution.
Exactly. By 2026, when enforcement really kicks in, you want to be at level 4 minimum. But after that, you're continuously evolving governance to match your AI strategy. New models, new use cases, new risk vectors. Governance has to evolve with them.
One more question. We've been talking about regulation and compliance, but there's a business case here too, right?
Absolutely. Enterprises with governance maturity see faster ROI, reduced risk, faster time to market for AI features, and better internal alignment. Plus, when you're operating in a regulated environment like the EU, compliance becomes a competitive advantage. You can move faster and more confidently than competitors still struggling with governance.
That's the real story. It's not about avoiding fines, it's about building competitive advantage through structured, intelligent AI deployment. Sam, where should people go if they want to dig deeper into this?
Find the full article on etherlink.ai. We've got the complete framework, case studies from Nordic enterprises we've worked with, and a detailed roadmap for building governance maturity. It's free, and it's exactly the kind of resource organizations need right now.
That's EtherLink AI Insights for this episode. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Sam for breaking down what's honestly one of the most critical challenges facing enterprises right now. We'll catch you next time.